Quick announcement to start the video before the video started. Quick announcement. Don't forget your lucky egg. The shirts are finally available. Actually, they've been available for a while, and some of you have already found them and ordered them. But they'll be available for 10 days starting from today. So hit the link in the description. Black and white versions. Don't forget your lucky egg. Hopefully it helps. I still forget mine, even when I'm wearing it. Maybe you'll do better. Today's kind of a busy day for me, one of those days where the only time I'm really gonna have to talk is probably sitting here in the car. So before I start driving, I wanna just kind of set the tone by quickly going over this announcement one more time. Alolan forms of Pokemon originally discovered in the Kanto region are coming to Pokemon Go. Right now, the only details we know from Niantic are, well, the title. Essentially, Alolan forms of Kanto Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go within the next few weeks. Now we can start driving and speculating. We'll get into stats, potential moves, changes to the metagame later on in the video when I have time to actually sit down and look over all the numbers, but right now I just want to focus on answering the question, why? Why are Alolan forms of Kanto Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go now? So let's start here. Alolan forms were introduced in Generation 7 in Pokemon Sun and Moon. And the next obvious step, I think, would have been Gen 4, Sinnoh Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go. That's what we were all expecting. But this comes as kind of a surprise to us. Now, technically, we're not skipping Gen 4, 5, 6. These aren't really Gen 7 Pokemon. They're still Gen 1 Pokemon. They just got new forms in Generation 7. So we're not actually seeing new Pokemon introduced. You're not going to get any new Pokedex entries out of this. You're just going to see different forms. Think of the same way Castform has different forms. You'll have a different form entry in your Pokedex for all of these Alolan Pokemon. So the question is why? Why jump straight to Alolan forms instead of waiting to release them with Gen 7 when they were originally introduced in the main series games? And to me, the most likely answer is that this is going to be a tie-in to something going on in the world of Pokemon, some main series games, something. We've seen it before in Pokemon Go where the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon trainer outfits were introduced as avatar items in Pokemon Go when Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon released. That was last November, I believe. So that served as kind of a tie-in promotion, a way to show Pokemon Go players that there was something going on elsewhere in the world of Pokemon games. I feel like this introduction of Alolan forms is the same thing. This is, in my eyes, a way to promote other aspects, other pillars of the Pokemon franchise, the Pokemon video game series, a way to promote that to Pokemon Go players. Now, what that other pillar is, I'm not entirely sure, because we already had Sun and Moon released a couple years ago. We had Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon released last year. Are we really revisiting Alola again? Are we getting another remake of the Gen 7 games? I don't think so. There were copyrights filed for the name Pokemon Stars, which kind of follows up on Sun and Moon, and there were rumors that could be coming to Switch, which is still possible. Maybe we'll get that announcement at E3 or something like that. But this sort of follows up on some leaks from last week where Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee were copyrighted, and supposedly those were going to have tie-ins with Pokemon Go, some kind of connectivity. Maybe this could be that. Those leaks also said that Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee were remakes of Gen 1, and they took place in Kanto, but maybe those Kanto remakes will include Alolan forms somehow? I don't know. But I feel like this introduction of Alolan Pokemon to Pokemon Go is a good indication that something is going to happen with the main series pretty soon. They did say that these Alolan Pokemon are coming within the next few weeks. E3 is also within the next few weeks. We could see overlapping announcements at E3 and release of these Pokemon in Pokemon Go. But regardless of what the actual reason behind it is, it's exciting. There are new forms of Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go, and they come with some pretty interesting and significant changes. Some of them could potentially also affect the metagame, so we'll get into that in a second, but for the rest of this drive, I have an important phone call that I need to make. See you at the finish line. I came to see Dante. We haven't seen each other in a while.
I know, we've both been traveling.
Yeah.
But you're traveling further.
Actually, I had to ask you something because I got an email from one of my friends in the Philippines.
Yes.
Said he knows you're going to be shooting your movie out there.
Yeah, and I'll be back for ToyCon on June 8th to the 10th in Manila.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Comic-Con.
Okay.
Come out, Nick. Come out.
I know. Well, that was the question. The question was, when are you shooting, and am I going to be there? So when are you shooting?
We're in the talks right now. I'm definitely gonna be out there June 8th to the 10th, and I'll be out there for a little bit, and then we might be shooting in July, or it might get pushed to September. But I'll give you the dates, so if you're free,
okay.
I got a hotel room.
Okay.
You know,
Martin, I don't think that answers your question yet, but
no, we don't know yet.
An answer will be coming eventually.
If you're over there, you'll see me walk around the streets sooner or later.
All right, but now this lens, I'm gonna try this out.
Yeah,
we're gonna see how this looks. Tell me how this looks. How's that? Watch this. Oh my god, is that too tight? Did I zoom out? I zoomed out. Oh, man. Oh, wow. See, that's the range that I'm missing with my lens right now. And this isn't even that much bigger than what I have right now. But like, that's wide enough to vlog with, right?
Super wide enough.
That's wide enough to...
Way wide enough to vlog.
I might have to upgrade the lens. I might just upgrade the whole camera.
A7. A7 is full effect.
A7S3. When is that
it's
coming?
Coming out.
All right. At the very least, lens upgrade coming soon. And here we are the next morning because the rest of the day just got away from me. So let's finally dig into these new Alolan forms, their new types, their stats, and their potential effects on the metagame in Pokemon Go. The new Alolan forms that we're going to see of these Kanto Pokemon are Alolan Raticate, Raichu, Sandslash, Ninetales, Dugtrio, Persian, Golem, Muck, Exeggutor, and Marowak. Some of them are obviously going to be a lot better than others, and a couple of them might have potential effects on the metagame. So we'll start with the Pokemon that could be relevant in the metagame, the ones that have the highest stats out of the group, the 10 new Pokemon or new forms that are being introduced here. The first is Alolan Golem, whose CP maxes out at 2916. Alolan Golem is different from Kanto Golem in that it's rock and electric type, and that has some interesting effects on its usability. For one thing, it no longer has a double weakness to grass or water, which makes it a better counter already to Pokemon like Ho-Oh with Solar Beam, because it's not going to get absolutely nuked by that. By losing its ground typing, it's no longer weak to ice, so it could be better against Articuno if we ever see that return as a raid boss. It has double resistance to flying now, which puts it in a better position against Lugia, again, Ho-Oh. And as an electric type attacker, it could be pretty decent if it gets access to Wild Charge as a quick move. Charge move. Wild Charge is a charge move. It has charge in the name. It's not going to beat out Raikou or Zapdos, but it could be the best non-legendary electric type attacker, depending on its moves. Also much tankier than Jolteon, so there's that too. Next up, let's talk about probably one of my top 3 Alolan Pokemon, and I think one of the most popular. In Alola, Exeggutor becomes a full-on palm tree with a ridiculously long neck. It also becomes grass and dragon type. Its CP is going to max out at 2881 in Pokemon Go. Its stats are very slightly different than regular Exeggutor. It has slightly lower attack, but higher speed, which, as we know, doesn't really have a huge effect in Pokemon Go. But that lower attack does mean that it's not going to beat out Kanto Exeggutor as a grass-type attacker. It's not going to take the crown from Frenzy Plant Venusaur in a lot of situations, but if it does get different moves, that could have a slight effect on it. So Grass Knot is one move that could potentially increase Alolan Exeggutor's DPS over regular Exeggutor or Frenzy Plant Venusaur. As a Dragon-type attacker, it's outclassed by Dragonite, Salamence, Rayquaza, all kinds of Pokemon. So if it gets the right grass moves, it could be relevant. Even without new grass moves, it's still probably going to be hilarious to use in battles. Next up, let's talk Alolan Ninetales, which becomes an Ice and Fairy type in Alolan form. Its max CP is only 2184. It's not the best attacker, but it does shine in very specific matchups. For one thing, Ice and Fairy are both super effective against Dragon. Unfortunately, there's still no Fairy-type quick move, so unless Niantic introduces a Fairy-type quick move and gives it specifically to Alolan Ninetales when these Pokemon are released, it's not going to be like the best Fairy-type attacker or anything, but it is good in situations against Dragon-type Pokemon that are double weak to Ice, that are using both Dragon-type moves, because it's going to resist those better than any other Pokemon that we currently have. So if Rayquaza comes back as a raid boss, Alolan Ninetales with double ice moves is going to be a good counter, again, depending on which ice moves it ends up getting in its move pool. But among ice-type Pokemon overall, its DPS is actually considerably lower than pretty much everything, even Alolan Sandslash, which is coming at the same time. It's just the resistances to Dragon-type moves that make it shine against those Dragon-type Pokemon. Alolan Muck could be potentially interesting as a gym defender. It maxes out at 2709 CP. Again, Muck has never been interesting as an attacker. It's always been a decent defender. Not too much changes. It does resist a few more types with its added dark typing, but it no longer resists fighting, which means if you put it in a gym with Blissey, Snorlax, Chansey, and someone's using Machamp, that Machamp's going to get through your Alolan Muck faster than it would a regular Muck. Still worth considering, and I mean, it looks a little more interesting, right? I mentioned Alolan Sandslash when talking about Ninetales. It's an Ice and Steel type, and, you know, Sandshrew my favorite Pokemon in Gen 1. Alolan Sandshrew, I love it. Looks like a little igloo. Alolan Sandslash, also a very cool looking Pokemon. Unfortunately, kind of in the same place as Kanto Sandslash, where it's outclassed by a lot of other Pokemon of its type. It maxes out at 2366 CP. It's not going to be the best Ice-type attacker by far. Steel, probably the same, but I like it. I'll give it that much. It's a cool Pokemon. And you know, I'm always hopeful that Niantic's just going to rework the entire battle system, and that some Pokemon that currently aren't really relevant will become usable in specific ways when we have things like stat boosts and status conditions and all that good stuff. Abilities even. Who knows? I still hope it's coming eventually. Alolan Marowak. Not relevant at all. Maxes out at 1691 CP. Same kind of poor stats as regular Marowak, but come on, it's like the coolest looking Pokemon. It's a fire and ghost type Pokemon, which is a combination that we see later on in Gen 5 or 6. Anyway, it's a ghost and fire type Pokemon, which is a really cool combination. It looks cool. It's twirling fire around. Unfortunately, not a very strong Pokemon. Still want one in my Pokedex, though. Alolan Raichu is interesting. It's electric and psychic type. It becomes kind of a surfer. I didn't mention this with Alolan Exeggutor, or Marowak even. Not all of these Pokemon have Alolan base forms. There's Alolan Vulpix, Alolan Sandshrew, but there's no Alolan Pikachu, there's no Alolan Exeggcute. By evolving those Pokemon in the Alola region, they evolve into the Alolan form. Not sure how that's going to work in Pokemon Go. If it's going to be random, if there's going to be some kind of event or timing-based thing where you evolve during a certain window or under certain conditions and it becomes the Alolan form. I don't know how that's going to work, but if you have a shiny Pikachu, you might as well hold on to it and get a shiny Alolan Raichu once we figure out how to guarantee that Alolan evolution. Now, Alolan Raichu, again, Raichu's not a great electric-type attacker in the current metagame. Alolan Raichu will probably be the same and probably won't be a great psychic-type attacker either. But it's cute. This, I think, is probably my favorite Alolan form just because of how ridiculous it is. Alolan Dugtrio, ground and steel type. Apparently this hair, these luscious locks, are made of metal. It has slightly higher defense, but again, Dugtrio was never a great Pokemon to begin with in Pokemon Go. The same can be said for Alolan Dugtrio. It does have great hair, though. And then finally we have a pair of cat and mouse, Alolan Raticate, Alolan Persian. I almost said Meowth. There is Alolan Meowth and Rattata also. But Raticate is dark and normal type. Persian is just dark type. And I mean, Raticate hasn't been relevant since Prestige, since the old gym system went away. Persian has never been relevant. The same is unfortunately true for both of the Alolan forms. But hey, look at those fat cheeks on both of them, actually. So that's it for stat breakdowns on the Alolan forms coming to Pokemon Go. Remember, a lot of their usefulness is going to depend on what moves they end up getting. Golem, Exeggutor, Ninetales, and Muck potentially are the ones to really watch out for. And of course, right now we don't really know how these Alolan Pokemon are going to fit into the current wild spawn distribution. We don't know if they're going to show up alongside the regular forms, the Kanto forms of these Pokemon, or if there's going to be a short event window where the Alolan forms are appearing, but I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks when these Pokemon get introduced in Pokemon Go. If you have any more questions about Alolan forms and how they're going to work, leave them in the comments. I think I'll probably open all these packages, do a little bit of Q&A tomorrow, and try to answer some questions about Alolan Pokemon or about anything going on in Pokemon Go. Questions about the events coming up this summer or whatever it is. Ask me questions. I'm going to answer them tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Alolan forms coming to Pokemon Go in the next few weeks.